Hi there, Sanibonani Dumilang. Thank you for joining us on our series on the Cuddle Trust theme books. Having been in this field for over 15 years, we know that time and resources are very limited. And to save you worries and time, we are offering a series of specific themes that we have put together, which in which we're providing structured lessons with activities and worksheets in which we hope to use all five of the senses. These worksheets that we've put in will challenge the child and at the same time develop his skills progressively so that by the time he is ready to go to school, he would have reached certain outcomes. With all our worksheets, as we say at the preschool course, we always want to let the child feel like a winner. And at the same time, it is going to make your creche or your ECD center be professional, productive, and in the long run, profitable. So today we are going to be looking at the theme of careers. So we're now moving into the more advanced parts of our themes. We've looked at me and my family, we've looked at animals, we've looked at me and my environment, transport, things that the child is able to talk back to you. Looking at careers, this is a very interactive month. We're wanting to get a lot of participation from the parents as well. So as usual, we always will offer you the main theme being careers, but in the lesson itself, each week we're going to look at different careers. So week 1, we're going to look at in the hospital. Week 2, we're going to look at around town. Week 3, we're going to look at the building site. And week 4, we're going to do a fun one at the circus, because it's a place very few children go to nowadays. But yet, it's one of those lovely outings that you can go on with the children. For your theme table, the ideas we would have is ask the children to bring equipment from home that their parents use when they go to work. Ask them to bring books that relate to the theme. So for example, a child might say, my mommy is a nurse or my daddy is a doctor, and they will bring you a book on their body. Another child might say, my mommy or looks after, or my gogo looks after babies, so she can bring you her doll. Another child might say, my daddy is a mechanic and he can bring you his cars. You can look for flashcards of various careers. You can also find the appropriate poster to put up about careers as well. Bring dressing up clothes. If their parents are hairdressers, you can have the scissors there, you can have wigs, you can have braids. And especially just before this month starts, find out from your different parents who does different work and ask them if they would be willing to come through like on an ad hoc basis and share their work experience with the children. That's why I say this is a really interactive month, but we've put the basis down of the hospital around town, the building site, because that's where we know most parents' occupations would fall into. Songs that we would sing for this month, which relate to the theme, is Miss Polly Had a Dolly Who Was 666. That's the one about the hospital. What Is My Job? And that we sing to the tune of Why Are You Sleeping? And as we say to you at the preschool course, if you don't know the tune, you know what? Make one up. The child's never going to know. But on the other hand, we also have CDs available with all of these tunes on them. So this one would go, what is my job? What is my job? Can you guess? Can you guess? I help people get well. I help people get well. Who am I? Who am I? Easy, children can sing it. And then we've also got Funny Clown, where we are encouraging movement with the body and just interaction with showing emotions. And here we're really trying to expand the child's horizons. You'll also see in the skills that we want to develop through this theme is becoming more advanced. So we've got a lot more to do with pencil control, sequencing and scissors control, general dexterity, that means the ability to use their hands, reasoning ability, increased vocabulary, associations, counting shapes, memorization, phonics, one-to-one correspondence, and laterality. So you can see we've also brought in phonics here as well. So in the hospital, we cover like the doctor, we cover the midwife, the nurse, a dentist, even the ladies or the gentlemen that help clean the hospital. And then we do a craft for on the building site, we look at a builder, we look at the painter, the carpenter, the plumber. And as we show you there, we've done a lot of research for you and applied it in a very concise form so that it's really easy for you to apply immediately. At the circus, we just talk about the different things they would see at the circus. So would it be the clown? Would it be the animals? Would it just be the music, the nice, the funny people and the jugglers as well? But what I'd like to do is I'm going to look at the week where we talk about the theme around town. So who would the child see around town? Well, who are you? You're a teacher. So we'll talk to them firstly about what does a teacher do? Where do teachers work? They educate. What is their main purpose? Are all the teachers the same? No, some teach older kids, some teach younger kids, some work at universities. Teachers that work at universities are called lecturers. Do you need to wear a special uniform? Do you need to use special equipment? So you'll see with each one of these occupations we're going to look at, we ask those three questions. What does he do? Do they need to wear a special uniform? And do they need to use special equipment? Yes, a teacher does. They need to use a blackboard or a whiteboard. They have calculators, books, papers, pens, pencils, flashcards, and posters. So what are we going to do on this day? We're going to do a worksheet where we say, draw a circle around the objects that a teacher would use. So we're coming to things like association. So coming to the child's workbook, which is in their own portfolio file. Worksheet 4 would have that type of picture. And the child has to circle the different objects that a teacher would use in the classroom. So you're making sure the child's able to discern as well as to put the right associations down. We then come to the next day. Remember, this you're doing in one day. You've got your hour and a half lesson period plus an activity as well. Day two, we would do a hairdresser and a barber. Now, most children would know about a hairdresser and a barber. So what does a hairdresser and a barber do? Well, he works with hair. A hairdresser normally works with ladies, and a barber is a person that works with males. They keep our hair neat and tidy. When you visit the salon, what do? They wash, they cut, they style your hair. And what does it feel like to have a new hairstyle? Do they have to wear a special uniform? Yes, they do. They've got these special aprons that they put on you and normally over themselves to protect their clothes. And do they use special equipment? Yes, because what did a teacher use? Things like books and pens and pencils. And a hairdresser and a barber, you would expect to see a scissors and a comb and a brush and a razor and hair dye and towels. So you can see already there they can compare the different implements that a teacher uses and that a hairdresser or a barber uses. Here we're going to do worksheet 5, which practicing your skills with scissors by cutting along the zigzag lines, because what does a barber and a hairdresser always have to use? They need to have a scissors. Now this is quite an advanced activity, so it is really challenging for the child, but it's an excellent activity. You give them this piece of paper with zigzags on it, and the child has to cut out along the line. So you can see I've put it in their portfolio file with the loose sides, but I can actually put my fingers through each one of those things. A very advanced activity. I do not expect a child that is younger than 5 to actually be able to do that activity. Then on the next day, we're going to talk about waiters and waitresses. Again, either their aunt, their uncle. I am positive in almost every family, there would be someone that is a waiter or a waitress. So again, what do they do? What do they wear? And do they use special equipment? Yes, they do. A male is a waiter and a female is known as a waitress. They work in restaurants. They help a customer find a table. They'll take the order. They bring the food to the customer. It's their job to make sure the customer enjoys eating at the restaurant so that they will come again. So they have to be very friendly and they have to be very patient. Do they wear a special uniform? Yes, they do normally wear a special uniform in the colors of the restaurant, and they would normally have a name tag on with their own name so that the customer knows how to address them. And do they use special equipment? Yes, they do. They have a notepad and a pen. Then we can say to the children, well, what did the barber and the hairdresser have? Yep, they used scissors and dyes and towels. And what did a teacher use? She used rulers, pens and pencils and posters. So can you see? We're doing comparisons and they're realizing certain equipment is for certain careers. So a waiter and a waitress, they'll use a notepad and a pen to write down what you order. They'll have a tray to carry the food. They'll also have cloths to clean the table when we leave a mess behind us. This is a fun activity to do. You can actually pretend to have a restaurant and you can make the different children the waiters and the waitresses. They can put on a special uniform, you can put their little name tag on, they can have a paper and a pen, and you can let them dish up lunch that day. So it's getting a lot of interaction and a lot of fun for the children, even having pretend money, because now you can bring in the concept of numbers as well. What I would also suggest is, what we suggest here is we give each child a paper plate, and then they find their magazine, and then they need to cut out the food they would like to eat and stick it on the paper plate. And then they can pretend they are the waiter or waitress, and they can offer the different plates to the children, and the children need to write down, I want green beans, or I want to have a steak, or I want to have a burger. You can see how this activity can keep the children busy all day long, and they can take this home and then pretend at home that they are also waiters and waitresses. Again, I'm saying your activity is going to use paper plates, which means you need to bring the paper plates to school. You cannot all of a sudden decide, oh, we're going to do this, and then there's no paper plates. The whole activity, you would have built up excitement for the child, and then there's a lot of disappointment. The next day, we'll talk about being a salesperson. Again, what does a salesperson do? Does he wear a special uniform? Does he need special equipment? Well, what does a salesperson do? They work in a shop. They help customers to find products they're looking for. They recommend products. They have to always be friendly and always be polite to the customers. Do they wear a special uniform? Yes. Who else had to wear a special uniform? With a name tag. It's a waiter and a waitress. Can you see I'm doing comparisons? I'm jumping back and forth, trying to, where I'm reinforcing with the child as well the whole time. The salesperson always has to look neat and professional. Do they have any special equipment? No, they don't. They just have to have a friendly smile, and they need to know their products really well, and they need to know how to use the till to ring up when the customer has bought a product. So what activity are we going to do here? Can you remember I said one of the skills we're going to teach the children and that we're moving towards is phonics. So here we're going to do worksheet 6. Where we are bringing in the concept of sound. So we have got a worksheet that looks like this, and we ask the child to write down the letter with which each one of those objects start. So B for ball, remember, child under 6 only talks phonetically. No A, B, C, D, E, it's abacada-e. A is butter. B for butter, A for apple, B for bread, T for tomato, O for orange, T for toilet paper, and a T for a toy. The child is learning to write the letters and is learning to hear what the letters sound like. We then also have, on the last day, we're going to pretend we are hairdressers, and we're going to let the children do fancy hairstyles. So what we're going to do is have a paper plate. They can draw their own faces on it, or they can stick pictures on there. Remember when we did Me and My Face, or Me and My Family, we did a face where the children had to find the eyes and the nose and the mouth and stick it on. And now we're going to punch holes across the top, and we're going to do threading with the children. And they're going to first thread either wool, or you can cut strips of packets into your plastic packets into strips, so that they can thread that through there. And then they can either braid the hair, they can knot these strings, or they can just make a plait. They can cut the hair. They can just have a lot of fun there with their lady that is now at their hairdresser. And then that is a plate that they can take home as well to show their parents. But can you see with all of these activities how much more live and real it would have been if you actually had a parent there telling the children about what it's like to be a salesperson, what it's like to be a waitress, what it's like to be a nurse, what it's like to be a carpenter. It will be so real for the children. You can even bring in a policeman, or you can bring in a person who works in an ambulance as well. We've just given you guidelines in that theme book. There's nothing stopping you from adding to it for the next year. But, you know, to make it easy, start with this because it's very basic, and then you get confidence and you can create your own. At the end of this month, the child's going to go home with a portfolio like this, and in their portfolio, the parents going to see the children learn numbers, they learned how to cut out shapes, they did cutting as well. They did coloring in, they connected the dots, they did ordering, they did sequencing, and they practiced their numbers. And again, the parents are going to realize that every day the child is learning something. Some days they'll bring it home in their hands, like the paper plates. Some days they'll bring it in their heads, like a song that they've learned. And some days they'll bring it home in their hearts, where you've taught them to be excited about wanting to have a career and earn an income by themselves later. We never make one career more important than the next one. Any form of occupation where you're providing a service is very, very important. Thanks for sharing your time with me, and catching up with you again next time. Bye.